In the fog-laden streets of London in the late 19th century, a sinister shadow danced through the alleys in the dimly lit corners of Whitechapel. It was the autumn of 1888, a time when the air was thick with uncertainty and fear. The bustling cities arrived with the signs of horses glittering against the pavement, and the distant murmurs of conversation seemed obvious to the atmosphere that lacked beyond the reach of light. The night was punctuated by the cries of street vendors and laughter of those seeking company. A sense of fear filled the air, the city bustling during the day with horse-drawn carriages and busy market changed at night. As the sun set, the streets of Whitechapel became quiet and airy. It was during this time that a terrible mystery began to unfold. The story began on a chilly night in August when Mary Ann Nichols, a lady trying to survive in the street, was found dead in Park's Row. Her body was discovered very early in the morning, and the news spread just all over as quickly as possible. Police were called and they were puzzled, like how could someone do such a thing? It was such a crime. As the days passed, fear gripped the community. Women were just afraid to walk in the night, and whispers everywhere about the Ripper filled the markets and the streets. The newspapers picked up the story, and soon everyone in London was talking about this mysterious killer. They wrote sensational articles, making the public even more frightened. People wanted to know what Jack the Ripper, who he was, and why he was targeting women. Just a week later, in September the 8th, another woman named Annie Chapman was found murdered in a backyard on Hanbury Street. Her death was even more brutal than Mary Ann's. The police were under pressure to find the killer, but every day it just brought confusion. The Ripper just seemed to slip away into the shadows, laughing at the chaos he had created. The night grew colder, and the streets of Whitechapel became a dangerous place to live in. In September the 30th, the Ripper struck again, killing two women this time, Elizabeth Stride and Catherine Endors. Two of them in one night. Can you imagine? It was just like he was playing a game, and the city was just a playground for him. The police were so overwhelmed and desperate for leads. They were asking everyone about, whether they had seen, and no one had clues as to who he was. Then on November the 9th, the Ripper's final victim, Mary Jane Kelly, the scene was horrific. When the police found her, it sent shockwaves through the city. Fear was immense, and the streets were just very, very haunted by the terrible acts of the Ripper. The police were desperate. Jack the Ripper was never caught. People just began to speculate about who he might be, and they couldn't. And some thought he was a butcher, others he thought that he was someone from a wealthy background. The mystery just deepened and deepened, and the fear lingered like a thick fog that had begun in a London suburbs. As months went by, everything was forgotten. These five became a figure of horror. The story was told and retold and retold, and each time growing, making people fear. It was just terrible. People who had lived in the terror shared their experiences, while others only heard the tales. It began to heal, but the memory is still there. It's a reminder of the darkness that can lurk in the shadows. The city, once vibrating in the lively, now carried a sense of caution. Years later, people still wonder about who was he? The mystery was never solved, but the fear and intrigue he left behind still became part of London. As the fog drew each night, it seemed just so much whispering, like the haunting and the darkness, the screaming, everything just seemed scary. Even today, the story still continues to be told, capturing the imagination of those who dare to explore the chilling tales of Jack the Ripper.